Got the whole world in your hands. You got. Hello, here is Bharat again, and of course it's the channel Palmistry Unplugged. And today I'm going to start to talk in detail about mounts. I did mention briefly before, and you can see onto the screen there's a diagram which names the mount. There's the Jupiter finger, there's the Saturn mounts, there's the Sun mounts, there's the Mercury mounts, and this area here is Venus, and then we come to the Moon area, and then we have the Mars area, and we have a few other areas which I'll be talking about. Now, what are mounts? Mounts are like supposedly underneath the skin there's nerve fiber bundles, and the more developed that the mounts become, or the bigger they become, the more developed the person is. So that's one of the first things that I look at when I see a hand. I look to see if they have developed mounts or not, or if their mounts are flat. So, for example, if the mounts are flat, then I know the person is going to be dealing with lack of energy, lack of determination. It could be a lack of responsibility because they're not able to. Their mounts are not developed. Whereas a person who has developed mounts, and you can see it in the hand, you'll see actually between the Venus and the Mercury mount, the Venus and the Moon mount, you will see like a little crater. And when you start to see that, you know the person has developed mounts. And people who have developed mounts, because of their development, their abilities, they have certain abilities, and they're usually reliable people, and they're usually responsible people because they can be reliable and can be responsible. So then I'm looking to see the mounts, which area may be in overbalance, which area may be in underbalance. So I can get like a general picture of what's going on. Like people who are doing business and more extroverted mounts are usually developed. That would be the Mercury and Jupiter and Venus. And people who are more inner, they would have more their Moon mount developed. But there can be all sorts of variations with the mounts, and we'll be discussing each one as we go along. Now, the first mount that I do want to discuss, and that is the Venus mount. Now, the Venus mount is the life force driving energy. It's life force energy. It's the love energy. It's the sexual energy. But number one is life driving force. And when I see somebody with a good size mount, not too big, because you don't want to get to be in excess, but when it's in the right balance, the Venus mount shows a person who has a good sustainable pool of energy to draw upon when they're doing projects or in relationship. So that's the optimum proper relationship. But you can very often I see somebody with a huge Venus. Now, huge Venus means they have tons of energy, and this can be a blessing because they have a lot of energy to do a lot of projects. But it can be also a little bit of a curse because they have too much energy. It means they're restless. They need to always do something. Like if I ask these people, how long can you sit on the beach without doing anything, they say 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Or, or they have 5 different projects at an art gallery, cafe, and this and that, travel agent, and they're still looking to do something else. So the thing about having a huge Venus is that people are ruled by it. Because energy has to move. That is the nature of energy. And if energy doesn't move, it leads to issues. What it's going to lead to is health issues, and it's also going to lead to fatigue, because the person is going to feel like they don't have energy. So having a lot of energy or having a big Venus is a dual-edged sword. On the other hand, to have a flat Venus, which for many years of my life, my Venus was totally flat, and I never had the energy to work at a job for more than 6 months of my life. And now in the last years, my Venus has grown a little bit, and I do have more energy to do projects and stuff like that. But when you have a sort of low Venus or a flat Venus, then you really have to pace yourself. You really have to know I have enough energy to do this project for 6 months or 1 year or 2 years, and you really must learn how to recharge your batteries, because that can also, the person can get into burnout or something like that. So the Venus mount is quite important. It usually dominates the hand very often. Now there's two areas of the Venus mount. On the top of the Venus mount, as shown in the diagram that you're seeing right now, you can see that is the energy for action, for doing, for manifesting. And then the lower part, which is also it's also the Mars mount, which deals with power. That is somehow, when I'm seeing it as part of Venus, it is the energy for relationship. So sometimes I see there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of, a very developed Venus mount on the top, but on the Mars area there, or the lower part for the relationship, it'd be flat. And usually that when it's flat, that means the person is either not in a relationship, or the relationship is actually draining them. So that becomes an issue. And also you have to, when we get into comparing the left and the right hands, we have to compare, the mounts also. I'm also looking, is the Venus mount the same in the left and right hand, which has a meaning. Now, also I look to see is how full the mount is. Some people have a very firm Venus, and that means their reservoirs are filled 100%. And other people have a very flabby, and maybe it feels like 50%. So these people are usually people that don't need to fill their tanks up. Or if they're suffering for something, I might be suggesting that they increase their reservoir of potential energy. One thing, the person with a huge Venus, is I'm telling them not to do something which increases their energy, because this more energy just makes their life much more complicated. These people, the advice is to let go, use your energy, give it out, give it out, give it out. Whereas a person with the small Venus, it's more about, okay, do things that are going to change your energy, like increase your energy, like you can do yogic breathing, what they call pranayama. You can do things like that. So that's the kind of things I look about when I see the Venus mount. Okay, thank you very much. This is Bharat from Palmistry Unplug, and now we are talking about the mounts, and we just talked about the Venus mount, and we will get into the other mounts in the next clip. So see you soon. Thank you.